Let me tell you about the afternoon I ended up doing CPR on my own HOA president on the hot concrete by my pool with the whole neighborhood, watching Lydia Kempthorne hacking up pool water and Chardonnay right onto my feet. Yeah, that happened. Picture this. Me in my swim trunks, hair still wet from laps counting compressions out loud. 27, 28, 29. And Lydia, the queen of Blue Heron Meadows, blinking awake, wheezing out, "Get him off me." I can still hear the slap of her voice and the paramedics pounding through my side gate just as she finally came to. And you want to talk about dramatic 10 minutes later while the paramedics are strapping her into a gurney that, let's be honest, was probably funded by my HOA dues. She jabs her finger at me and hisses, "That man assaulted me." Right then, the neighbor kids stopped mid-lick with their popsicles. The wind chime on my porch made a sound like it was judging us both, and somewhere a siren started up. I swear it felt like the whole neighborhood took a breath and held it. Let me back up a sec. My name's Ethan Corcoran. By day, I push numbers in payroll software. By dusk, I'm usually swimming laps in my backyard pool trying to forget about all the petty nonsense that passes for drama in Blue Heron Meadows, a little development out in Sequoia Bend where the mailboxes match the bylaws, read like a bedtime story for people who love beige, and every driveway is inspected by Lydia, our self-appointed General Patton of the HOA. She patrols the greenbelt out back with a clipboard and a megaphone power walking like she's launching a military invasion. Me, I keep to myself. Mow my lawn, swim, grill out, wave at folks I like. Lydia, though, she keeps to everyone else's business. It started slow certified letters showing up in my mailbox every week, timed so precisely you'd think the mailman was on her payroll. Your pool umbrella is a shade detectable from space, one read, and it actually had a satellite image like she'd called in a drone strike. Another time, she sent me a letter with a photo of me swimming, circled my tropical print swim trunks in red marker, calling them non-compliant tropical. She even took a picture of my pool vacuum and filed a complaint for unauthorized aquatic serpent activity, which, you can't make this stuff up. It just kept escalating. One day, she measured my deck chairs while I was at work, left a citation because the backrest angle exceeded 30 degrees. Apparently, visual pollution is a crime in this neighborhood. The citation included a protractor reading 3 signatures from witnesses, and I still don't know who those people are. When I put a lock on my side gate for a little privacy, she called it a community barrier. Snipped my padlock with bolt cutters and left the pieces on my doormat with a note. For inspection purposes. Twice I caught her on my patio. She claimed she was searching for Trevor the community lizard. When I pointed out there's no such thing as an HOA-owned lizard, she wrote me up for interfering with wildlife management. Honestly, I wish I was exaggerating. Then she launched a safety audit, brought 2 board members over, spent an hour leaning over my fence with a pool skimmer testing water depth for liability. One snapped photos, the other took notes, and all I could think was, this is what it must feel like to live next to a Coast Guard station run by Pinterest addicts. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for the day it all blew up. It was a Saturday hot enough to melt vinyl siding, and I'm out by the grill marinating chicken when I hear a splash, then a scream, sharp and ragged, that turns into gurgling. I sprint around the pool, and there's Lydia, fully clothed heels and all thrashing in my deep end like she's doing synchronized swimming with the Titanic. I dive in without thinking, drag her to the steps. Her lips are blue, she's not breathing, and the only thing running through my head is, don't let her die. Not like this. CPR kicks in. I'm counting compressions, doing mouth-to-mouth like I learned at that boring work seminar nobody ever pays attention to. Well, turns out I did. My neighbor Dale vaults the fence, calls 911, puts the dispatcher on speaker so I can pace my compressions with the rhythm. We're both shaking, scared out of our minds, but after what feels like forever, Lydia coughs up water, locks eyes with me, and this is the thanks I get, slaps me right across the face. The paramedics show up, take over, and I'm standing there drenched and shivering, waiting for, I don't know, a nod, a thank you, maybe even a grudging acknowledgement. Instead, Lydia finds her voice just long enough to tell everyone in earshot. He assaulted me. She repeats it to the paramedic. The cop, even my lawn flamingo, if it had ears, it would have heard. 2 days later, a process server shows up at my door with a lawsuit alleging sexual assault during what she calls a staged rescue. Lydia's version is wild. She claims I engineered the whole thing for prurient access, whatever that means, and she points to my suspicious habit of exercising near water. The HOA newsletter even sends out a boundary violations bulletin with my address in bold. At this point, you might be wondering if I'm panicking. Truth is, I was halfway there. But I had something Lydia didn't know about. My Ring camera. The same camera she tried to have banned for being anti-neighbor technology. That footage was pure gold. It showed Lydia prying my gate with a paint scraper, tottering over to the pool, leaning in with her clipboard to check the chlorine level and slipping heels overhead right into the deep end. Every second from my sprint off the grill to the last chest compression to Dale bawling into the phone with the 911 dispatcher, all of it caught in perfect HD. My attorney filed for dismissal with the video, the 911 transcript, and the Good Samaritan law highlighted in yellow. Sequoia Bend police opened an investigation into false reporting and trespass. At the next HOA board meeting, Lydia looked about as lively as an unripe avocado. Court day came fast. Lydia arrived in a white suit and a neck brace she'd never worn before, not at the pool, not in any police statement, not at the board meeting. Her lawyer looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. The judge, silver hair and patience, watched that ring footage in dead silence, rewound the part where Lydia, coughing pool water, looks right at me and calls me a pervert lifeguard while I'm kneeling beside her, soaked and shaking. He took off his glasses, set them down, and asked her, "Mrs. Kempthorne, do you understand what cardiopulmonary resuscitation is?" She just stared. Her lawyer tried to spin it as improper technique, but the paramedic, Michael Torres, still in uniform, sitting in the back, raises his hand. "Your Honor, I was the paramedic on scene. Mr. Corcoran saved this woman's life. Textbook perfect. If he hadn't done what he did, she'd be dead. That's not opinion. That's medical fact." You could hear a pin drop. The judge dismissed the suit with prejudice, meaning she could never refile. Referred Lydia for sanctions attorney fees. Suggested she read the Good Samaritan law in the courthouse lobby maybe twice. Then my attorney had invited code enforcement. They served Lydia with citations for criminal trespass, vandalizing my gate lock, unauthorized property audits. Fines totaled $8,000, and the HOA insurance refused to cover her because well-intentional misconduct. Suddenly, her board buddies vanished. Everybody had somewhere urgent to be. 3 days later, the HOA held an emergency vote. The room was packed. I counted at least 40 homeowners. Half of them had been targets of Lydia's little citation crusades. She got recalled as president by a vote of 32-2. The 2 no votes. Turns out they thought they were voting about the sprinkler schedule. In the end, Lydia pled down to misdemeanor trespass and false reporting. The judge gave her 200 hours of community service, ordered her to pay for my busted gate and legal bills, over $21,000 by the time they were done tallying it up. And here's the twist. Lydia was required to develop and teach a class for all board members on respecting property boundaries. But wait. The judge wasn't finished. He added that she had to pass a certified CPR course, demonstrate proficiency in public, with Michael Torres supervising the same paramedic she'd tried to discredit. When she heard that her face went from avocado green to tomato red so fast I thought she'd combust, she stood up, chair-scraping mouth working like a fish, and finally croaked, "This is ridiculous." The bailiff had to tell her twice to sit down. She dropped into her chair with a thud, each breath coming out heavy, the neck brace looking more like a Halloween costume than a medical device. And you know, sometimes you fight the good fight just to breathe a little easier in your own backyard. Sometimes justice looks like a judge, a camera, and a paramedic who calls it like he sees it. So what do you think, was that karma or just a regular Tuesday in HOA land? Ever had your own HOA run wild? Drop your stories or opinions in the comments, hit like, subscribe, and tell me where you stand on neighborly justice. Let's see how many good Samaritans we've really got out there.